Welcome to the Chapter 10 lecture for the Management 3120 Operations Management course. I am Dr. Bill Perkins, and I'm going to provide you a video lecture based on the material found in the textbook Practical Operations Management, 2nd edition, from Natalie Simpson and Philip Hancock. Our objectives for this chapter is to identify the different forms of inventory and gaining an understanding of what is involved in determining quantities and timing. So let's get started. Inventory could refer to anything tangible that is waiting to provide value to an organization. Since the term inventory can literally refer to anything, the identity of a particular stock of inventory is important to good inventory management. So inventory can be referred to as tangible items awaiting sale or use. Each unique item, from fresh oranges to chicken soup in a microwavable container, must be managed to maintain its availability to shoppers. For this reason, organizations rely on a unique SKU, short for Stock Keeping Unit, SKU, for each particular item. A SKU may belong to one or more categories or recognizable types of inventory. This stock also brings with it a set of costs that the organization must pay for the privilege of owning it. Those costs combined with the basic dynamics of inventory management shape the policies the organization develops to manage that particular SKU. Inventory can be divided into types, primarily by observing where it waits within the operation and why it's being kept there. The issue of where is not literally its exact location, although knowing the exact location of a particular SKU is important to good inventory management. Instead, wherein this context refers to the inventory's location within the theoretical model of the operation. Figure 10.1 here on this slide names the three types of inventory that map to each of the stages, being raw materials, work in process, and finished goods. The left-hand side of figure 10.1 represents the inputs required by any given operation, or what is drawn from government outside the operation in supporting the creation of valuable outputs. If goods are bought for future use, these stocks are known as raw materials, whereas finished products not yet sold are known as finished goods. Raw materials are generally purchased from suppliers that may literally be raw ingredients such as wood, steel, or flour, but not necessarily so. On an operation's raw materials can be the intricate finished goods of some other operations, such as a circuit board being purchased by a tablet manufacturer. So remember, raw materials refers to inventory brought in from outside the system. Two different organizations may perceive the same tangible object as two different types of inventory. The circuit board manufacturer considers it a raw material. These differing perspectives on inventory type sometimes lead to conflicting perspectives on how best to coordinate the movements of the circuit board through the supply chain and into the hands of the customer. Work in process inventory, or WIP, is not usually the subject of supply chain tension between organizations, but nonetheless brings concerns of its own. As pictured in figure 10.1, WIP is inventory at any stage between raw materials and finished goods residing within the transformation process itself. WIP is essentially unfinished work, which makes it the riskiest types of inventory in certain sense. While all inventories represent idle goods waiting to be used or sold. WIP represents partial investment in a good that cannot be redeemed for its value until even more investment is made to finish it. So work in process is inventory resulting from transformation of raw materials but not yet ready for sale to customer. Should something go wrong before transformation is complete, the value invested up to that point may be lost. Recognizing these concerns, some inventory management systems focus on minimizing or even avoiding the creation of WIP, operating as lean as possible. And finished goods refers to inventory waiting sale to customers. Inventory can also be classified according to why it is kept in stock. An organization might choose to keep a large stock of a particular SKU on hand for many different reasons, but most of them stem from a few basic motivations. First, to achieve economies of scale. Second, to produce a stockpile. Third is to create safety stock. And fourth is to ensure pipeline stock. Cycle stock is inventory held to gain economies of scale or decreasing average unit cost by increasing volume. An organization may invest in inventory to save money through economies of scale. As one example, this savings might be the result of a price break offered by the organization's suppliers for larger orders. Alternatively, scheduling the delivery of new inventory might have some inconvenient costs attached to it, regardless of how much is purchased. So the organization seeks to save money by ordering large amounts that last longer and reduce the frequency of deliveries. The resulting inventory that will be stored and used between deliveries is known as cycle stock. An organization may have invested in inventory simply because it is uncertain about either the future demand or the future availability of that SKU inventory that is held to protect against uncertainty. It is known as safety stock. An organization might be in possession of large stock of some SKU because it has chosen to transfer that stock between two geographic locations. Examples include purchasing goods from a remote supplier or shipping between different facilities operated by the same organization. This inventory sitting idle on its journey because or between locations is known as pipeline stock. And global supply chain logistics can involve significant investment in it. For example, a single 40-foot cargo container can hold over 12,000 boxes of shoes ready for sale, and a large seagoing cargo ship can carry over 3,000 of these 40-foot containers. Loaded with cargo containers, the ship then generally requires 2 weeks or more to move between ports, housing a substantial amount of shoe retailers' pipeline stock as it travels. Inventory management is conducted according to some policy the organization established to control that inventory. The differing approaches to inventory management can be summarized as differing answers to two questions. First, how much should be ordered? And second, how should it be ordered? And fixed order quantity policies on identification of the single best amount to order whenever more of an item is required. As the name implies, this amount is predetermined and fixed to be used each time a new order is placed. This fixed amount might be simple rule of thumb, such as every time we need more paper, we always order 2 boxes, or it might be the result of some more sophisticated math model, such as economic order quantity, discussed later in this chapter. Regardless of how the fixed amount is determined, all fixed order quantity policies are marked by the fact that they do not specify precisely when orders should be placed. In this type of policy, the issue of when varies with demand for an item. If demand for an item has been heavy, the stock on hand will drop fast, and the need for replenishment will arrive soon. Therefore, when it is not an actual point in time, but rather an amount of stock that signals when a new order should be placed, such as when we open our last ream, which is 500 sheets of packaged paper, we always order more paper. Opening the last ream means that only 500 sheets are now left in stock, an important amount referred to as a reorder point. A fixed order interval policy states when new inventory should be ordered, allowing the amount to fluctuate according to how much is used, also known as a periodic review system. This policy specifies the frequency of ordering, such as a new order on the first and third Tuesday of every month. This policy requires a review of the amount of inventory actually present on that date, so that an order might be placed for an amount that brings inventory back up to some target level. The ordering amount then varies according to how much of the item is actually left in inventory on an ordering date. If there has been little demand for that item during the previous time interval, stock remains and only a small order will be placed to bring that stock level up to target. If the demand has been heavy, however, less will be left in stock on the review date, and a larger order will then be placed. One disadvantage of fixed order interval policy is the possibility that demand is so strong between orders that the organization suffers a stock out. This vulnerability is balanced, however, by the opportunity to synchronize the ordering of many different items by assigning them all the same fixed order interval policy. Inventory turnover is the number of annual inventory cycles, sometimes referred to as turns. Average inventory refers to the average of the beginning and the ending inventory of a particular time period. And a price break quantity is the minimum order size that qualifies for a quantity discount. Your runtime is the time required to produce a batch of some item. And the reorder point is an inventory level that triggers replenishment of an item. And lead time is the delay between requesting a product and receiving it. The service level is the probability that demand for an item will be met during the lead time on replenishment of that same item. And retail stockouts. Stockouts are a lack of inventory. This absence may be the result of unexpected demand for the time, or it may be deliberately created by the retailer who wishes to draw inventory levels down as part of a strategy or a scheme. This concludes the Chapter 10 lecture. Please tune in to Blackboard for this chapter's expectations and deliverables, and I will see you in Chapter 11.